So, with the apparent reconciliation of Hannah and Danilo, everything seems to be going to plan, but of course this can't be the case with 2 more acts to go in this production of The Merry Widow by the Australian Ballet. Franz Lehar called The Merry Widow an experiment. He wanted, he said, to write music for and around human beings, their hearts and souls, their emotions and passions, their joy and sadness. A striking example is the compassionate working out of the relationships between Valenciennes, the Baron, and Camille, the young wife of an older husband and the young man of her own age who pays her such attention. Somehow in this ballet version, this subplot becomes even more poignant and telling as it reaches its climax in the pas de cinq at the end of the 3rd act. In the second part of tonight's simulcast, we'll see Acts 2 and 3. The former is set in the garden of Hannah's villa in Paris, where things will get very much more complicated before they're finally sorted out at Maxim's restaurant in the final act. Here then, to conduct the State Orchestra of Victoria, is Noel Smith. In that performance of the Merry Widow Ballet, which was recorded at an Australian Ballet Commonwealth Bank night at the ballet, the cast was Hannah Glavari, Lisa Pavan, Danilo, Stephen Heathcote, the Baron, Colin Peasley, Valenciennes, Rebecca Yates, Camille, David McAllister, with Ray Powell, Gayon van der Viest, and Roy Wilson as Niegus, Kromov, and Pristich. Campbell Mackenzie as the Pontevedrian dancer, and Stephen Woodgate as the maitre d'. The State Orchestra of Victoria, Concertmaster Robert John, was conducted by Noel Smith. Next week, our stereo special, a double bill, takes us first to Broadway to enjoy the 1992 cast of Guys and Dolls, making the recording of the classic Frank Lesser musical. That's followed by some of the cream of Australian jazz musicians in a sequence of performances evoking the spirit of that legendary jazz club, the El Rocco.
Next Wednesday, a vicious murder.
But he is illiterate. He can't read the statement himself.
The accused, now sentenced to hang.
It is useless to cross-examine further.
Allegations that prompted a royal commission.
And after the assaults, he said yes to anything because he thought he was going to be killed.
That is utter rubbish.
And ended in government intervention. Hugo Weaving, Noah Taylor, Lawrence Turner star in the compelling true story, Broken English, 8:30 next Wednesday.
Attitude will not be seen tonight, but will return looking at the state of the Australian music industry next Wednesday night at 9:30.
Thursday night's entertainment begins at 8, when Wildscreen examines the unique adaptations that allow certain species to choose their gender to create new life. 8:30 Police Rescue.
You ready? Ready.
Mickey has his hands full with a new recruit and some old problems. 9:30 on The Big Picture, the Vietnam Peace, a revealing look at Vietnam after the war. That's Thursday night on ABC.
Good evening, I'm Kerry O'Brien. On Lateline tonight, what will the Senate do next to the government? After 2 months of forcing deals on the non-negotiable Dawkins budget, there's plenty of opportunity for muscle flexing on some of the big issue legislation to come. We're joined by 4 Senate players straight after the news.
Clive Hale from the ABC National Newsroom. Good evening, thank you for joining us. The embattled wine tax has been passed by the Senate, with the reluctant support of the Greens. The passing of the bill follows a deal which was struck between the Greens and the government on the composition of an inquiry to look into the measure. A report on the human rights of the mentally ill has found that every Australian state and territory has breached United Nations law. Human Rights Commissioner Brian Burdekin says the mentally ill have been treated as criminals and subjected to sexual assault, a lack of privacy and safe housing, and discrimination.
The National Inquiry found the rights of the mentally ill are being denied.
They are left particularly vulnerable to abuse and exploitation because of the lack of provision of even the most basic services. And that is a situation which cannot be allowed to continue.
For 3 years, Human Rights Commissioner Brian Burdekin has been hearing stories of despair from the thousands of Australians with mental illness. People like Dennis. He knows when he needs hospital help in the everyday battle with his illness.
I didn't know how to say schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said I suffer from that, and
Yeah.
they said no, they wouldn't admit me.
The Burdekin report recommends procedures so that in no circumstances are people turned away without